All right. I think Bill took care of it. Very good. Where's my
Yeah, are you guys good to go?
We are good to go.
Sorry to bother you
Thank-
guys. I just want to double check. That's all.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good meeting, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
All right. So, sharing screen and. All right, very good. Okay, welcome everybody. Today is November 17th. This is a working session of the Westchester Borough Planning Commission. It is 6:30. Tonight we have Alan Burke, Quincy Burrell, Steve Mitten, and myself, Jim Cherry. Are there any announcements, Aaron? Alan?
We are going to be changing dates for the meetings to the first and second Mondays starting next year. So that we're going to be keeping it consistently all the way throughout the year to help with keeping it simple for people. So that you know exactly when the date is, because this year it kind of fluctuated because of sitting in between things. Moved it to the beginning so that, because unfortunately I have zoning hearing board on the third, I think it's the third Monday. So this way it'll make it easier for individuals to set up their schedules and make it available to be here. The two questions, in September, they're asking whether or not you want to combine the meetings for your voting and for your work session.
And we're talking about September 2026.
Yeah, 2026.
I have no idea.
I'm busy that day.
I mean, what is that, 10 months from now? I don't know. It's,
We want to do it
I'm
now
sure I'm
because we don't want
busy.
to make any changes to
Sure.
this. So
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know that one will be combined so that you guys will.
Okay, well, we'll move towards that like it's gonna be combined.
Yeah, and November, you will be meeting in the council chambers room in 2026 because there's already something scheduled for here.
So which Mondays are we gonna take? We're gonna take
First and second.
Mondays of every month.
Yes, let me ask you a question. What happens in the event of a Monday holiday?
Then what we will do is,
Is that automatically go to Tuesday or is?
it's possible that we may move it and we'll deal with that. I'll go through and make sure whether or not.
If you could
that-
check that, because that was one of the reasons we were trying to avoid Mondays, because I think last year we had two moved.
Well, I'll look at that and see if we can get that taken care of at the beginning so that we have that all up front.
Yep. Very good.
And same time.
Yeah, everything will remain the same except for the date.
So I have a question about that.
Yes.
So it makes sense in terms of, for us, it makes sense because this now puts our meetings ahead of Borough Council and Smart Growth. And so the question essentially is, can we take full advantage of that? And has this been coordinated with Borough Council? Because right now we make decisions about things, we make recommendations. And they typically have 3-4 weeks to look it over and digest it. Now it collapses that. I'm assuming this allows us almost the full 90 days to consider plan development applications. Unless Borough Council and Smart Growth are still counting on that lead time, which would mean we're back to 60. I'm just trying to understand, has there been dialogue back and forth, and is there general understanding about this flowing, the workflow that way?
There has been dialogue back and forth between Smart Growth and my department for this.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out whether or not there's gonna be any foreseen issues with it.
Okay.
And right now, we haven't seen any, but I will follow up on that where this becomes fact
Okay.
and check with them again. I'm making notes right now.
Okay, thank you. Quinty, anything? Steve?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, very good. All right. Are there any citizens' comments on items not on the agenda tonight? Hello, Mayor. How are you? No worries. Would you like to add anything before we start? Is there anything not on the agenda that you'd like to comment on? Okay, very good. Okay, reports. Aaron,
Um. Sorry, I was trying to.
no worries.
Today we did get a request to come back and speak on 6:15, 6:17, South Walnut, I believe.
Okay,
And the zoning hearing board, we did submit the applications for 304 West Lafayette. They're looking to add a parking lot along the back alley behind Lafayette, with a electric charger. There is, I think it's 112, 603. I might be off on the last part, that restricts you from putting a parking spot within 5 feet of a property border. And they're looking for relief from that. We have changed the way that we are doing things with this. Kristen, our solicitor, has asked us to not be as quick in scheduling these. And the reason being, she wants to go to smart growth first to see whether or not we are going to request that they have a attorney show up to fight the issue. And in this one, we did not choose to do that. So what we're going to be doing is if we get it in before the smart growth meeting, we get it up to the first smart growth meeting, and then we schedule it out to the actual zoning hearing board the next month, not that same month. So that we have plenty of time for the solicitor if needed to make their schedule available. At this point, we're not really looking to fight this.
okay. I'm just gonna pull this up, right, just to show what that was. This is the parking space in the alley?
Yeah, that's from the house. It's a little difficult to see. You can go around if you.
Yep, let's just drop it back there. We got our guy here.
There were a number of people that did show up, and you can see that there are already a lot of those there. They're going to tear out a retaining wall that has already fallen down, rebuild the other retaining wall, and make it where the truck that is going to be placed there is completely off the alley. There was one that they had said that was there that actually stuck significantly out in the alley and restricted the alley. But see the truck up front? See how the car is there?
Yeah.
The truck, see how it's parking
Parallel with the alley.
parallel with the alley? That's what it's going to be doing, but it'll be 2 feet off of the alley so that you will have more room.
Is it this low? This is.
It's actually, see that retaining wall is coming down.
This
It's right in that area there,
there.
going to be cleaned up and moved out.
Okay,
All the cans that are there are going to be moved back behind a screen.
sure. Okay, and then they were putting an EV charging station out there.
Yes,
Okay.
because he's buying an electric truck.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Okay, so no action on our part or anything next week, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Old business. Let's see here. Let's see if I can. I apologize. My shared page went down. Seemed to go smooth when Bill's sitting right in the room with everybody. Okay, 6:15, 6:17 South Walnut. I'm just gonna download this so that we can get them a little larger. Okay, you're on.
Welcome back.
Thank you guys, everyone, for having us back. Continue this. It really is a very collaborative, thing that's up front versus very long in the process. So we really appreciate it. So what you see before you, we took the feedback from the last discussion. We chewed on it for a while, and then kind of went back to our engineers and tried to talk through what are some creative ways we can incorporate all the elements of buildings, site for these things. So we came up with two additional options. I'd like to just maybe step through the changes, and then we can kind of talk through it. So the biggest change here is we went to a smaller unit in terms of width, and then we increased that by 1. So it's the same relative building footprint as the wall, but we've got one addition to it. So it helps offset the costs of the brick, all the features that we're talking about to really make this work. So that's the biggest change. So yes.
Speak a little louder, please.
Oh, sure. Yes. So
So
Can't change your mind.
yeah, the sketch plan you see before you here has the parking for the 2 existing dwellings still along Willow Alley. We did come up with another option that had parking along Mechanics Alley instead of on Willow. We talked about that. We're preserving kind of that courtyard feel up along Walnut Street. And we also included some renderings for what we think the building could look like itself, as well as some ideas for how to anchor that corner and really incorporate that courtyard feel. We pulled a few different examples from places in the borough that we thought looked really nice, and Thomas mentioned some of them. I know he's not here tonight. We were really hoping for a Thomas sketch, but
Just wanted to, not all of the renderings you sent over may have gotten up
okay.
because they were received after the
Sure.
deadline.
I did bring them with me if we want to plug them in. It's on a thumb drive, but no
I'm not
need.
sure how to do that. I know.
Yeah, no worries. Most of them, I can actually tell you the addresses that they were at.
Okay.
The primary rendering was of the building, and Rich and I have been talking a lot about this and how to incorporate the features and things we've talked about. And I think we would really hope to get out of this meeting what are some key things that the planning commission would want to see. And we touched on a lot of those, but maybe if we can drill down a little bit into some features that are important, we can work with our architect on. And then as well as what the site, generally speaking, would be ideally looking like parking wise, primarily for those 4 parking spaces that are for the existing dwellings. I think we're pretty much fine either way on where they're at. They're close enough to the buildings where I don't think it makes a meaningful difference if they're in Mechanics Alley or Willow Alley. We did have an idea for doing like a brick parking structure along the alley. I know there's one that Hazley's are doing kind of along in that same area. It was this detached garage. It looks beautiful. So we thought that might be a creative option if we wanted the parking up front. So those are the big changes, right? Smaller units, which we like for a number of reasons. 1-car garage, which I mentioned, but it's 2 cars deep. So you still get the 2-car parking, smaller garage. You're not looking at this big kind of monstrosity. And what you don't see here is the brick and things like that, which you'll see in the render.
Sure.
So that kind of brings us up to speed for what we've been working on. So we'd love, feedback on those items. And
Okay, we do have that rendering available. Is this the one you were talking about?
yes, that's the building. Admittedly, we haven't. Our architect has not worked on this, so I certainly cannot, talk about that. This is ChatGPT, as unfortunate as that is, but this kind of gives us a good sense for what it could look like, right?
Sure.
So you got brick, smaller windows, more architectural features, things like that.
Sure.
Pretty amazing what it can do, though, I have to say. I was kind of impressed.
It's gonna put us out of a job.
Yeah. Well, it's missing a shutter, so I think we're okay.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough.
Now that you see that, you can't unsee it. It's so. But
They are still 3-bed, 2.5 baths. So
Right.
still same bed and bath count.
Yeah.
As before. Just
I think we're down a couple hundred square feet. It's like 200, right?
yeah, two or three.
Yeah.
200 to 300 square feet.
Rough dimensions.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, you were looking for some,
Feedback,
Feedback,
please. Yeah, definitely.
okay, I mean, I think, at least I'll just start here. I think, I don't have any problem with the adjustments you made, and I certainly appreciate the one car garage over the two. I think it, uh, makes it a much more pedestrian friendly walk along the alley and reduces just a line of garage doors and garage bays. So I think when I look at that rendering, I would just call it directionally correct. I think that's in what that's the type and quality and proportion and scale of the buildings that are consistent with historic Westchester and the borough. And I think so. I think you're definitely on the right track relative to it. I think the proportions that a little more vertical proportion for a building, the nice corners. I think that type of stuff is consistent with what we're looking at. We'll see how they actually develop there. I do say that from your standpoint and from the ability to, I would take a look at these back lines. This is just a sea of parking. So I think maybe there's something creative that can happen to help buffer. I'm thinking it's more of a negative to you than to them
Yeah.
at this point. So it's something that may get overlooked, may want to take a look at some type of buffer. That's where maybe a little, well, I guess relative to it, that would be my concern is just looking out there and just seeing two properties worth of where are we here? We are at, what is this? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you were looking at
Mhm.
over top of that now. So that just is something to look at from your inside. I think my concern here is I would prefer not to just see a bunch of cars parked. I'm just calling it in the front yard.
Sure.
I do like the fact that you're preserving the existing twin home, and I'm assuming we're restoring that or
Yeah.
renovating that.
Yes. Yeah.
And then so I would like to see some type of either carriage house or garage or something. I don't know where you are relative to the impervious coverage. We have to watch that. But as far as providing a screening, I think Thomas had mentioned uh, elements like a wall, like a masonry wall, brick wall, or something like that, that could happen somewhere to create a space as opposed to just letting it bleed out. I believe he's looking even at this end of the property here.
I believe they have a little bit under, excuse me, let me talk a little louder. I believe they have a little bit under 15% more impervious space that they could use.
Okay. so
Impervious,
that's
yeah. I think we were using pervious pavement as well for some of these, some of the parking areas to try and help bring that down.
They're
But I think we're
right now
maxed
about-
out building
You have it
coverage.
down here at 35.3%.
Okay, that sounds right. Yeah.
And my assumption was that these four were feeding these two
Right,
units, right?
right.
That's basically it.
So I'd say if we can do parking at the rear along Mechanics where it currently is that preferred or would some sort of,
I mean, I think that's a little bit more difficult if you're selling these units
Right.
here. That's a bigger ask for those potential owners. I think the idea of maybe a screen, you were talking maybe last time about a carport.
right,
But I think something that reduces or minimizes the impact, most importantly from Walnut Street as the primary
sure.
road. The others are the alleys, both Mechanics and Willow are a little less of a concern to me. But
One idea we had for that anchoring the corner there, I think it's on Dean Street. There's a brick. I think the code, Thomas was looking at this and admittedly I haven't dug too far in. The code prohibits a wall in the front yard. I think there's certain height restrictions. But along Dean Street, they've got these brick columns with metal fencing in between and look really nice, at least on the front. And on the side, they have a fence, but we could do something different, maybe a masonry wall.
I think you're thinking of 329 West Union.
Yes, 329 West Union. So,
Walls are allowed in the front yard, but there is a height restriction.
okay.
Fences are allowed in the front yard, but there is also a height restriction.
Just 4 feet, right? I think.
Believe so.
Okay.
And then you have to be careful on the corners, what the line of sight is.
Got it.
Did you say Western? Yeah.
To the left. Yeah, it should be right to the left there, unless this is after they did it. Yeah, this might be after they, no. Other direction. I'm
Other
sorry.
left?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There it is. So that was one thought. If we couldn't, I mean, maybe we can do the wall, and that's a better option. But we thought that plus landscaping was a nice view shed.
Yeah.
And maybe something.
I mean, yeah, I think I think in order for this space to have any value as a communal,
Right.
I'll just say call it a yard or something, I think it would be good to buffer.
Okay.
And also protect the cars from all the activities, hopefully that would go on here. So I think that would be my big ask, is to see if we could create a place, a communal outside space. I mean, I'm assuming this is going HOA.
Correct.
And for these 6 units, and then, but to create a place as opposed to just the in-betweens here, I don't think that's not really, they're not really places of gathering and stuff. So I think that's why I'm trying to preserve that as a primary piece. But yep, I don't think, I do appreciate the rendering, at least presenting directionally where you're going with this elevation. So, Alan?
Well, just remind you, it's a sketch plan, so we're not checking the math. All of the ordinances still have to be addressed, So I think it's an improvement, definitely, from what you showed us before. I have the same concerns that Jim has about, we just, in the borough, we don't like to see, we know we have cars on every street and every curve, but we just don't like to have them in the visual space from the main streets, in this case. Walnut, I think if you asked your architect to do a elevation or a rendering of this, it's going to give you the answer that those cars are not going to look great there if they don't have something over them, or if you don't move them somewhere, and making that into some sort of a community space is, I think, a really good, Jim's idea is good, but I think it's moving in the right direction here, like what you're offering.
Yeah, I mean, they really covered everything. I think Jim's idea of putting some sort of wall or like appealing fence would be cool there.
What type
And
of fence? Sorry.
like some sort of wall or like some sort of vines or
Okay.
something. Yeah. And then including some sort of communal space would be very beneficial right there. And I, like Jim also said, I like the change from the one garage or one garage with the deeper. Yeah, I do like that too. But other than that, yeah, this is great so far. So yeah.
That you definitely step in the right direction. The people who have the older house, the 615 and 617, they can of course avail themselves on street parking, right? So they don't have tags for residents for street parking. So yeah, well, it's nice as a selling point to say, you know, there's a lot of people on Walnut Street that don't have that.
Right.
And the rendering had a sidewalk walking up Willow Alley. That's just the rendering, or would that actually be present?
I think that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be nice, definitely. It probably will sit in the right of way so as to not affect the impervious for the project, which I don't know what the right of way is off an alley, but either way, I think you would need one similar to the West Market Street property.
So, you know, I lived in the borough a long time. Parking is premium. So if you have to walk around the corner, if you have a nice
sidewalk to walk up. It's better than walking through the alley.
Yeah, some street trees and things like that. I think that's what we're thinking.
And I think these are, let me go back to the, Steve, what was the address here we originally put in? 304.
You have those 4 parking spots there. So guests come over, 5 cars are parked there, 6 cars are parked there. Super, the whole-
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, if you don't have like a fence or
Yeah, and
or garage, yeah.
I
that's a
mean,
good point.
you just, it's so tough, it's so congested, so tight
Mhm.
down there. I think if you're not presenting that option as that's a place to park.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna park there. But if that is an option, that's a place to park, there's
Yeah.
gotta be
Yes.
some kind of,
Yeah.
people are gonna
Take a
park
mile.
there, and
Yeah,
others
miles.
park in the grass, and it's,
Yeah.
I couldn't get a spot, and
And I would keep in mind, these are single families, each one of them, so you can stack those. So if you wanted to be able to maybe pull these back a little bit, I'll just call it, towards the east
Mm,
and slide them in here and see if you can't get a wall in this area, which I'm just gonna say is kind of a wall off the end of the brick area and leave an opening. And then that way,
that's a great idea.
that would just, that would screen it and
Right.
separate this, because this fence could be all removed.
That will, yeah, that
they're
will.
merging.
It would just be nice to be able to present that as a backdrop for this
Yeah,
green area. Maybe just, you don't necessarily need to connect it. You can just leave it freestanding in here, just,
right.
but just to help not look inside the cars from all that there, and then just leave this really a clean kind of pocket park feel to it. I think would present a much nicer on
Can I make a comment?
certainly.
If you go back to show the house, where is that, no, what you had up, go back, show that corner, see, if you, see how you have the alley right here? It just from the zoning standpoint of view, there is a statement in the zoning that if you have 2 main streets, then you have 2 front yards. This is an alley, and there is a difference in this case in regards to that. That does not make that a front yard, because that is not a street. Okay, that is not a main street. So what happens is from where the porch connects to becomes a side yard in that regard. For those houses up before that. So anything beyond that would not be building into the front yard.
Anything beyond,
Go back to that picture, please. I have to make sure I verify this, and I will. See where this line is right here?
Mhm.
This point forward is the front yard.
Right.
At least we don't generally count as being part of the front yard until you get to a building that fronts.
Okay,
Okay, so what then that means is you are concerned about the height of your wall.
right.
So if you come back a little bit off of this, like say where this is right here, or this is right here, coming forward to this area, could be higher.
Got it. Understood.
Because that is considered a side yard, this part of it. But once you get to where you're going to start building the new buildings.
Right.
Then you're getting into the front yard.
I see. Understood. Okay, that's very helpful.
I just don't know when I'm looking at this, what's showing this rectangle where that brick ends. So it might be like right here. So that's all I'm saying is you might have enough. If we slide a little bit back there to consolidate and screen.
Yep, process, and it might be, process wise, we're getting our survey done now, getting everything. So then I think the next step for us is maybe come back and have one more discussion with some elevations that our architect has done, a site plan that is fully surveyed, and we can kind of maybe take a more earnest step forward before we submit for land development.
Great.
If that works. For
Yeah, no, I think you're in really good shape. I think,
But yeah, I think the brick wall is one that's really interesting. I think it would anchor that alley well. And Thomas and us has talked a lot about how do we use our alleys, and I know this group has as well. So we're really excited about for that reason as well. So it could be, with street trees, there's two trees. One of them is very dead. The other one is like half dead. So it'd be nice to get some new life back in there and kind of anchored on both sides. So
One other thing you had said about possibly moving those 5 back, just keep in mind that with that deck from your rear yard, you can have a maximum or a minimum of 5 feet. Right now, I think you have it like here's this is 21 feet from
Right.
this point to this point. So I'm assuming these are approximately 10 feet. So we can run off this section here. But from where this would be to this would be, you have to keep it at least 5.
at least 5 feet. One thought we had, to what Jim was saying before, is the Toll Brothers project for the old paper site. They have decks, some decks that are raised, like on the third, it might be fourth floor, I'm not sure. But maybe we talked about if that's maybe an option that kind of brings that parking lot. We'll have to see if it will work. It brings the parking lot out of view. You're looking out past it. I think give you more green space. Like they're not huge units, so that you're losing some living space there. So to look
But
at
that is the southern exposure, so I think from outdoor quality, that's the best space
Right.
you have is kind of, I mean, as much as being able to sit in some
Right.
daylight there.
I did have one other question. So brick on facades, what about on the rear wall?
Well, on the rear again, something that's not facing the street, to relax it a little bit to make it like a cement board
Fiber
side or
cement,
something. Yes.
So yeah, we were looking at the one by the Burger King site, and that we talked a lot about, and they had the fiber cement, so we weren't sure if that was acceptable. So
That's acceptable. Yes. Yeah, there's some help there for the dollars. That's
no,
but
that's great.
what else can we say? I guess whatever sidewalks and connectivity that you're gonna have, trees, lights. Again, from a dark sky perspective, we're looking for cutoffs, so we're not. Again, I'm not sure what you have adjacent to at nighttime,
Right.
but certainly we wouldn't want to add any more than we needed to there.
Interesting. Okay.
There is one major tree there. Will that probably have to be removed, I'm assuming?
I thought that was the one in the front. No.
No.
There is one.
No.
There's one.
There's one that's a
This
larger
one
one
right
there.
here.
If
Is
it's
that
the one I'm
that's
thinking of,
mostly
it's
dead?
That one is, quite dead. At least more than 50%.
I'm gonna tell you, neither one of them looks too healthy.
No.
yeah, both of them. The one that we're looking at now didn't look that good the last time we were out there
Okay.
several weeks ago. I think a lot of the
I didn't look at it close enough when I went and walked the site.
Got
I noticed it was a large tree.
it's definitely.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know the species?
That looks like an oak.
I don't think it's.
Neither of them seemed alive in any savable manner because but
Well,
obviously
the assumption is when you do stuff, it complies with.
right, exactly. It's going to have
Yeah,
sufficient new landscape.
and I don't know if you can drop some of these utility lines below grade, but
That's going to be fun.
I would help yourself with the quality of the space by doing so.
Yeah. Pico, we have a different project going on. And they've been okay to work with, so I think we could probably achieve something. But it's going to have to move.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot of wires on it, so
Yeah, it's just when you put those buildings right up to it,
Yeah.
now you're up at eye level to that stuff.
Right.
It's
So for the one comment hiring, if the front yards there, right now we have those buildings set back 10 feet. Could we bring those possibly closer to the street wall for the new ones?
Are you talking about this 10?
Yeah,
foot?
I mean, maybe it wouldn't work only because of the width of the alley, but
Yeah, I like the 10 feet. You have an alley there that you need to have that turning radius from
Right.
the alley into those garages. So I would be very careful not to go past that.
Right.
And then even if somebody pulls in sideways on there, you're at least able to get off the alley,
okay.
out of the alley.
And then the sidewalk still has plenty of room, which the sidewalk's not shown. It's- yeah, okay.
Was it in that rendering?
Yeah,
Look at
it's there.
Nice
Yeah,
sidewalk.
very nice. Yeah, I think we're excited about that.
What do you guys, how do you guys feel about like awnings, front awnings with like a metal roof or anything like that? Is that stuff you
Well, I
guys
mean-
shy away from?
Yeah, I mean, in reality, we're looking at bulk area height requirements, though, that I would say, as a guide, I would use the HARB's design guidelines and stay consistent with their recommendations, if that's something that's from a direction that's possible. But certainly, porticos or awnings, pen roofs, that type of stuff, that have some overhangs and textures is fine. But when you're saying awnings, you're looking at north side or south side? Side where you think?
North side.
North side.
Like an entry.
Yeah, an entryway portico.
Yeah, like a little
Yeah,
portico
something.
is fine.
Yeah,
It's good.
just
Yeah.
stay dry when you're
Yeah.
giving your key
You
in.
know, I think I like the idea. I think that adds a little.
And last question, for stormwater planning, I don't know that we're gonna have sufficient above ground space, I mean, maybe in the back. But I guess it doesn't make a huge difference for this group where that sits. I mean, if we want to preserve that courtyard in the front, that might be our only option unless we go underground, which is obviously a fine option.
It depends on what you do out of the townhomes. I mean, certainly the alley side, maybe it's a rain garden, maybe
Right.
there's something that's a little more integral into the landscaping as opposed to just a basin and
Sure, yeah.
separate them. But that looks like it's a pretty decent amount of ground space out there
Okay.
for
Yeah.
more of a rain garden style approach. But like I said, I would try to make this the activity area.
Sure.
I think this is more of a buffer. I think you can create both a buffer and stormwater back in the east end of the property.
Great.
So I have a couple.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess there were originally, how many square feet and now they're what?
Originally, they were close to 2,000. Now they're 1,700 or so.
And you did that, and you added another unit?
Yeah, we made smaller units in width wise,
And
but
who's your target audience?
just entry level, for attainable entry level,
Yeah, I think
younger.
to that,
Isn't this area surrounded by students?
right, yeah, exactly. So I think our idea was to best kind of keep in line with what the planning commission's recommendation for brick facades and, keeping things that are more consistent with what we see in the borough. If we make a smaller unit, we can incorporate those more easily and actually bring down the net overall cost of the house. The additional unit helps absorb some of that total cost for the project. So that would be more of a first time home buyer or a downsizing person. But if you're 2,000 square feet plus, it gets to be pretty pricey. So we thought this was kind of a good, killing two birds with one stone.
So you don't foresee the possibility of buyers having student rentals, have it become student?
I should surely hope not. That would be a horrific use of this building, in my opinion. And I don't think the code would permit that.
It doesn't.
And then, so there's 4, is there a HOA?
So there's a fifth one and then two
There's
existing.
5.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be a total of 7.
But yes, it's exactly right. So there'll be an HOA, but it's very limited in what it will cover. So it won't have anything to do with the actual buildings. It'll be for lawn, snow, and then stormwater infrastructure. There's capital reserves that they need to keep in place where if the stormwater system needs to be replaced in 10, 15, 20 years, the HOA is involved in that, but nothing beyond, there's nothing that they would do with the buildings themselves. However, we could put restrictions in there for you can't change X, Y, and Z, about.
So these are roughly 1,700 square foot. What's the selling rate at per square foot here?
That's a good question. We were just talking about that on the way over here. I mean, I think a realistic number, before we were talking, 600 plus, I think we're probably, if the 2,000 square foot one was maybe 650, now I think we're probably in that high fives number. That would be our objective, I think. The smaller unit, 2-car garage, new construction in the borough. I think that would be a great achievement in terms of not having an outrageous cost.
Thank you.
Sure, yeah. Congratulations, by the way. Absolutely.
Okay, if there's no other comments, I think we'll see you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We got a lot of work to do.
We have a still meeting tomorrow to go
If
over
that
social
works.
zoning.
Yes, if that works for you, that'd be great.
Because there was a couple of questions I had in that, that
Yes.
just
We can dig into
found
it.
the issue tonight.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you.
continuing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
you, guys.
Appreciate it. Okay.
They really are. It's business, right?
I appreciate the fact that they're doing so. Okay, on the agenda, next thing up is the continued discussion of preservation ordinance. I kept this on here because we wanted to get kind of separate ourselves from the unified development, the unified residential development in the town center. But I think since that had kind of gotten developed and pushed through, we can almost use that as a starting point again, and then just start talking about some of those pieces we want to incorporate, like where potentially it could be applied. This site actually that these two gentlemen were just in on is exactly this type of project that could happen in other areas. But the intent there, and we can put constraints on it, is it was for homeowner occupied. It was to really give individuals an opportunity, young people or old people, to either get into the market or downsize into a potential ownership role, not to be built as investments or rentals, but to be more consistent with the comprehensive plan of increasing the opportunity there. I do think the other things that we should make sure to put in there is other building types, the triplexes, the quadplexes, things that can get someone into a home ownership. So even if you use $300 a square foot as just as a rough rule of thumb, 2,000 square feet times 300 is 600,000. 300 times 1,700 is 510. So it kind of gets you an idea of roughly where that is. I'm not saying it's exactly 300, but at least it's a rule of thumb to give us a relative scale.
He used 500,
Yes.
and that puts the house at 815.
Well,
1,700 square.
Yeah, if it's about 1,700, I think $300 a square foot would get you
He
510,000.
used 500.
Oh, I think he was talking about for the unit, not $500 a square foot, but 500,000 for the unit. He was in the 500s. He said upper 500s, but I think the reality of it is construction costs a certain amount, the land costs a certain amount of dollars, the development costs a certain amount, the stormwater management, and so on. The more units you're spreading in that out, the more it gets divided up. So if you put one unit on there, it goes onto one house. So one townhouse that's being developed on this property might be $1 million. You divide that in half, you're maybe at 6. So you can kind of do that kind of rule.
So the ones on the other street, or maybe it was the same street, further up, went for 9 something. And I don't think he's gonna come in too far less than 8. I don't see him
It could be.
anything less than 7.
I mean, the reality of it is it's market driven. It's a supply and demand. And if he can get it, they'll get it. There were a couple that were developed that were in the $500,000 range that just got sold over there. We looked at those maybe 3 months ago. It was the I forget what road that was. I'm sorry. No, that was a brand new twin that was built. I don't know if you remember.
Are you talking about Matlack?
Yeah, I think so. That used to be 3 or 4 parcels. It was a twin that used to face Matlack, and then it turned into one unit in front of the other. They were relatively small units. On Zillow, they were in around 500 or just under 500. And I think that's That's the stated goal, and we'll have to see what it is. I mean, from what's been presented, they're approaching this as a market rate for sale, attainable home. I would say where the density on this property is going to be higher, and the location and the neighborhood are going to impact it. So just like on South Matlack, I'll just say on McGill's property where they put those 4 townhomes and we're selling them for around $1 million. They took a while because that was a little outside of the neighborhood of what the neighborhood could carry. So I think it took that individual that was willing to look at a longer term investment on those properties. So I think but just as a development standpoint, and I'll just use core development is looking at that Burger King property. Those outside single townhomes will sell for a certain dollar that's going to be close to $1 million. But once they can stack them, they'll be able to get those things for 600 to 800, so in that range. So they'll be able to significantly drop those dollars. But that's because that same footprint now has 2 homes on it instead of 1 home. So it's density and the size of these things are going to help the dollar. So bringing down that scale brings that cost down. But getting 7 units on there also makes it back up for them as well. So it's a tough balance because we do want to see for sale market rate attainable housing. And then one of the things that we're just skipping right past, but going back to looking at it, it's allowing multiple dwelling units on a parcel. And we're able to get around that by having it as an HOA.
So I sympathize with your concern about, I think it's sort of a Widener model where parents will go and buy a house near Widener's campus for, 150, different market down there. And then have their kids live, fix it up or do whatever, and then have their kids live there. And then the parents, the kid graduates and they sell it to somebody else. And I mean, for 150, 200,000, maybe that, I don't know, for 500,000 or 600,000. You're sending your kid to Westchester, you got property.
Yeah, it's not reconciling itself.
It could.
Who's gonna go into it, Mark is gonna go up, they're gonna have, their child is gonna have their education here, and when they reflip it, they make a profit.
Yeah. So maybe-
It's a tough one because you can't, that's something that goes beyond our ability to do anything about.
Although a lot of students stay in Westchester.
They do, and they still couldn't have 4 other non-related students
Right.
live there. How many is it?
Yes.
3 or 4? Is that the number?
4.
I know there's 3 bed.
Well, but they couldn't have 4 unrelated people,
Well,
like roommates that are there, which I know there's people at Widener.
Which is always a battle that our department is fighting. Because people are going to cheat the system as much as they can. And that has been a point of interest for our department is to actually find those individuals that are illegal. Where you have it under one student's name, but other people stay there without actually having it written down. And that's always going to be part of the system is to try to catch those in.
So, okay, but I think we're gonna bring that preservation ordinance back online, I think, and then we'll just try to understand what we're really looking for and how we get there. And I think it's really about, again, encouraging that type of same type of development to happen, a smaller, consistent with the borough, but then being able to put on incentives to make them more durable, make them a higher quality, make them an actual contributing resource to the borough and not something that's I'm in and I'm out of here and it's a little less of a quality. So it's about having something just like this building that 100 and some years later, people are still looking at it as a positive attribute. Okay, any other old business? Was there any,
We, if I may,
Sure.
we received, we sent them to me today, letters from the Chester County Planning Commission, both the Unified Development Area Ordinance and the amendment to area regulations in the towns.
okay,
These are, both these ordinances are on the borough's agenda on Wednesday for hearing and enactment, or potential enactment. I don't see anything in these letters that's a deal breaker. There's no problems. They do have some suggestions about the unified residential development, which you might want to look at later. I didn't see any grave issues they raised on that, but there are some suggestions. I
okay,
don't think you can really do it between now and the day after tomorrow. That's my point.
yeah, I agree. So, is that something,
Do we need to postpone those hearings or?
Well, I don't think you need to. I think you can, I know there was some, we were trying to get the unified residential development enacted sooner rather than later. What I am saying is I think the council can still enact it. And if some change has to be made, you can do an amendment.
okay,
However, if a development is filed under the ordinance, any amendment would not apply to that development. I mean, I can run through,
if you could, just
There's really not that many issues. Comment 3 is it consistent with the comprehensive plan? I think it is.
Yeah.
That was an issue they raised.
Okay,
4 is what incentive are you giving to a developer to do one of these unified residential developments? I think it's more density.
it's density.
Right.
Density and more flexibility and choice.
Right. And then they say the minimum sidewalk width maybe should be 5 feet instead of 4 feet. Because they're saying those are contemporary ADA and PennDOT standards. They're also suggesting that garages and parking spaces shouldn't be necessarily limited to the rear. But I think that was your intention in this development that they made. They're saying that maybe should be the preference, but you might want to consider in some circumstances it's in the front. I don't think you want to do that. So.
In the town center, yeah. That may be okay in the other areas. That one on West Market, that we always reference, certainly has it, but I don't think we would want to chop up and mix pedestrians and cars too much. Not the public pedestrians, not the people that live there, so.
Then they have a comment about whether we can require the historic district standards in this development. And because it's not our review, well, the answer is we can. It's simple. And that's what we did. That's what you did. They're also suggesting you might not want to prohibit vinyl or aluminum. I don't know why you wouldn't.
That's why you want to. Okay.
Yeah. They also said that maybe you should consider different parking requirements for the number of bedrooms. In other words, right now you have 2 off-street parking spaces per unit, which is typical. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not going to be 4-bedroom
Okay.
townhouses. Then they said that you might want to consider upper story setbacks if it's over 3 stories. I mean, I think the height limit there is 35 feet.
Yeah.
So I don't think that has much merit. And then did you consider parcels and tracts that would be potentially eligible for this use? And the answer is yes, you did. I don't see anything.
I don't see any concern there.
Problem.
I appreciate them reviewing it, though.
I do too.
And they got it done relatively quick too.
Terrific, great.
That was the concern when we scheduled it, whether or not we would hear anything back from the county. And we got a couple days.
There you go.
They came through.
How about, the other,
The only comment on the other ordinance
it
is
was a, build to in the town center.
that the town center, says we know that the proposed area and bulk regulations for unified residential development includes a building setback line of a minimum of 0 with a maximum of 5. And they're saying in the rest of the town center, it's a minimum of 0, but there's no maximum. So I guess there's consistent, but I think you were looking at this as a different kind of development, the URD.
Did we have a maximum of 5?
No,
No, I don't think we had a maximum of 5. We just had a 0 foot on front and a 0 foot on side, and we said if you were to take advantage of the height overlay district, we would want 10 feet back. We front end.
right now it says building setback line front yard minimum 0. That's all it says.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could push it back 20 feet if you wanted to.
Right.
But nobody's going.
Nobody's going to. Land's too bad.
Right. So that was the only comment.
I don't see any, yeah, I think you may have misread something. All right, good.
Thank you.
Sounds like that chicken soup worked great. Okay, again, just as a reminder, if anybody has anybody that they know of that would be willing to sit in on the planning commission, we still have that a vacancy open. That's for anybody that's listening to have a desire to volunteer their time, meet twice a month, and you can send a letter of interest to Dana at the borough or Aaron Fluke. All right.
Send it to me first, so that I can forward it to her so I can keep track of it if he does.
Okay. All right, we have, you've already discussed the moving of the meetings to Mondays.
May I ask you a question about?
Yes,
There were 4 candidates, I think, that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, 3 of them were very qualified. I'm just wondering why you couldn't go back to,
well, I believe we can go back and reach back out to them as well, but I think just the opening it back up to,
so you need to start from scratch? I mean,
well, I don't think we need to
since
start.
it's so close, why can't you go back?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did get some new applicants as well already.
Okay.
We've had some people that I know were interested. So I think they include the whole group again.
I did ask Dana about this. She did reach out to the previous candidates, and only one of them showed any interest. The other 2 said no. So she has already reached out to them, and they're just looking for a larger pool, or as large a pool as they can get, so that we can get the best qualified individual.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, and then I'm not sure when this popped on here, Aaron, but we got the Parks for All, the Westchester Borough Park Recreation and Open Space Plan. Was that today or Friday? Weekend?
Day, this is
Okay.
coming up for some other stuff, so they wanted to bring it out for you guys to see. I didn't even know this was on here. This was done behind my back, so I can't say
Okay.
anything about that.
Well,
I was out.
we're
of-
not gonna believe it.
It's not intentional, it's just that I was out of the office and the decision.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's a quick read. It's 149 pages or whatever it is. So, are we expecting?
A procedural standpoint, this is intended to be an amendment to the comprehensive plan, the borough's comprehensive plan. And in order for the council to adopt that amendment, they have to get a recommendation from you. So I don't know, is this on the agenda Wednesday night? I
Believe it is,
is
I'm
it
not 100% sure. but I believe it is.
You mean councils or here?
on the council agenda, the voting session?
Yeah, because my question was, what kind of time frame we have, or are we getting a presentation? Is Keith coming in and
I
welcome?
can verify that for you if you'd like, I'm
So,
sorry.
I mean, he's welcome to come in and present it. I mean, there, it is fairly self-explanatory. There is a whole lot of how's that going to happen. It's when you read through there, I'm sure. I think it's pretty well organized. It broke it down pretty nicely. Just how things are getting funded and who's going to be doing the work. There's some a lot of open-ended in there. So I guess there were some areas in here, mandatory dedications and potential or some recommendations for ordinance amendments for both the design standards, the zoning ordinance, and the saldo, which I think are worth looking at those pages. And it may be I'm not sure it ties everything down. I think it just throws it out there as should be addressed, but
Just for purposes of clarification, I have a draft of the resolution for council. And it appears that the council hearing will be on December 17th. Because it's not on Wednesday, so you'll have a December meeting.
ahead of this, so we have.
Yeah, I was just checking through the agenda for tomorrow's meeting and I don't see them.
Do you think, can we request Keith or somebody present this?
I would
maybe next
definitely,
week?
I will talk to them tomorrow.
Excellent. Alan, do you have any comments relative to?
I just want to make sure that you're comfortable that this does speak to the fee in lieu
It does
questions.
not. Yeah. It does not.
Okay,
Yeah.
that, I mean, we've been waiting
Sure.
for this to arrive so that we'll satisfy the questions so that we can
Yeah.
move forward on that. And if it doesn't, then I think we should seek some sort of, resolution on that. I
Sure.
mean, it's when the whole project is completely done for us to offer input is an odd thing to do without being, critical. So that's why I think my question was, why is this on the agenda? What is the question? Because it appears they organized, done this whole thing, and it's printed and it's ready to go to final admission. So it just strikes me as a very odd approach. That's all.
Were there specific questions that you guys had in regard to
Well,
this?
our one big question, I'm not necessarily sure, I'm not sure it's actually for Parks and Rec to answer. I'm pretty sure it's for Borough Council to answer. And then that's where it was specific to elevated courtyards and how that played into rec space or fee in lieu, and whether it does or doesn't count, what don't we have authority for, or even if it's a partial fee, or maybe there's a credit towards it, if in fact it's just a courtyard, or how that's to be accounted for.
Okay.
And that's
My read is that it does address the public-private question that we were wrestling with, but it does it in an unusual way that I certainly think a little legal input on whether this is what we need or whether the language should be changed is. I don't know how the language gets changed because they got to go back to their committee and they're presenting us on December 5th or whatever. So it sort of sounds like they're going at this like they're looking for a rubber stamp, and that's not really. I think there's some questions here that just put before us. We want to.
Hopefully next week they'll be
Yeah.
in front of us and we'll be able to ask them some
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
And like I said, as far as what I saw I didn't have a lot of time, a real quick way, it looked like the mandatory dedication that there was 2 pages, A18 and A19, or 17 to 19, at the end of that report that we can pad through here because it's a good amount of work and study. Let me just move this guy away here. When we get all the way down to the end of it.
Yeah, it's like the second to the last page.
Yep. It's these right here.
Yeah.
And then this is where it addresses subdivision and land development ordinance, the design standards and the zoning ordinance. And then their recommendations.
Is this public space, right? Or defines public, space.
Well, these are just definitions. That's just
Yeah.
their place of definitions.
Right.
But
sorry.
these, under this paragraph says, the recommended ordinance amendments included herein pertain to the following provisions. So they're only referencing where it is. And then as you
Go down.
go down into these pages, that's where they're making kind of the request. But that's, Alan, I agree with you, where we could assist them or come in and provide some suggestions or amendments to those ordinances. And then work those through with Tom. But it is without that dialogue and that context, I think it does it a disservice. So I think having Keith in here or a representative of this group that put this
Yeah.
together is important.
I'll send an email tonight, talk to them tomorrow.
Perfect. But time-wise, then it's on Borough Council on the 17th. Is that we're expected to act before that?
Well, I mean, that's appears to be the current schedule. I don't know any reason why that couldn't be deferred.
I think that's
Was
only a
there a
work session right now. I think it's only a work session right now. That's under, it's not a voting session.
Okay, I'm trying to get that answer.
So I think it's gonna go
We might
to
need you.
council to be worked on from them, because they're gonna have to have input on it too. You guys are gonna have to have input on it. I just think that they were trying to get it out in front of you guys as far as possible. So that you had at least some time before the December meeting to actually come back and either request people to talk about it or actually form questions that you would submit.
Okay.
Or things that you disagree with and so forth. So it's something that you really should go through and pick apart.
Sure.
'Cause
I
I'm gonna
mean-
go do that for zoning.
Yeah, I mean, I reviewed, I went through page by page. It breaks down all the goals, the objectives, the strengths, weaknesses. It breaks down all the existing parks by ward, and then what the potential improvements for each, the recommended approvals for each park are. It's just a matter of, again, how and who's paying for it and how it's gonna be
Yeah, well-
maintained, so this-
So I'll offer my 2 cents. They talk about there's 2 or 3 parks that they think are exceptional
Sure,
and therefore shouldn't really get any attention.
okay,
And they don't really take any time to examine why are those. And I would say, they said there's a very substantial friends group behind both of those. And to me, the community involvement and the community commitment to this, like, so where I live, we're near Everhart Park, and every month I get the minutes to the meeting that they held, and they've got a structure there that's falling apart, and they're looking for funds, but they're actively of their own volition. They're not going to the borough or anybody else. Can we get a grant? How can we raise money? So one guy had a garage sale, donated all the proceeds to, the fund to, rebuild this. But we're not taking that thought process. So that's kind of, in my view, what distinguishes those, because all the work that's been done by the people who are in those neighborhoods, they're committed to it, they want a great park, and they put their time and work. I mean, how many times? I can't tell you how many times.
sure.
Saturday we're cleaning up, then we're doing this, and now we're doing that. There's always something you have to work on, and the communities are involved in it. Okay.
Mhm.
Where is that for the ones that are not there, and where was the involvement? To me, that's what's missing. They chose not to include the people who have made the parks great. They've actually excluded them from this conversation, and they reach their own conclusions. So, but I mean, when they've written the whole report, it's a little difficult to.
Yeah, I mean.
But toothpaste back in the tube.
Sure.
So may I add
Sure.
something to that? Because I sat in on those meetings and they had public meetings. They
Yeah.
had 2 or 3.
Yeah,
So they were very well aware of those parks that were exceptional and the reason why.
yeah,
They knew the reason why was the neighbors. So
Yeah.
to say they were dismissed is really not the whole story. They knew why they were successful. And they would like to do that at the other parks, but you have to take a look at the disparity between Everhart, Hoops, and Marshall Square, because those are the 3 we're talking about, and the ones where Veteran Park is, or Marcella Park is, or John O. Green is. You have to take a look at who surrounds it. Working class people surround it who don't have the time, energy, or funds to do what a lot of the people around the other parks have done. I've suggested, because it started out as one park system, supposed to be Friends of all the parks, but that wasn't generic enough. So then Marshall Square wanted theirs, Everhart. I think Everhart is the beginning of the Friends of. They're the grand dame of parks. They're the blueprint for how this happens. And then Marshall Square, and then Hoops has recently started a Friends of in the last couple of years. So, which I've suggested that maybe they could work with and help some of the other people who need a Friends of group. And, but also Everhart got a lot of Westchester's money during COVID, the borough's money during COVID, and they got a whole new scheme. So it's not like the borough's not putting in the money to some of the parks. Marshall Square just got significant funds in addition to contributing their own funds, the neighbors. So, I think you have to look at where these parks are. One of them is in a floodplain and you call it a park because you can't do anything else there. So there is disparity and you have to adjust for that. And the people who did this did a good job. If they had 2 or 3 public sessions where people came and talked about what they'd like to see, across the board at some of these parks. So it wasn't being dismissive of the parks that who excel. In fact, what they said in one of the meetings I attended, considering how small this borough is and how many parks we have and how well they're used well, and we do a lot with the parks for the money that we put in, the money the borough puts in. So I would just have to say that I haven't read the entire report, but I thought the people who did this report did a good job. And they had it on the website for months that you could add to your thoughts on it for months, for about 3 or 4 months. So.
I agree. I think they did a great job with
I do want to point out that I was talking with Keith about it, and he did say that there is an overarching group that is the Friends of Park that are setting up the model, and that it's kind of what the mayor said, it started off with one park and it's spread to another and spread to another, and they're trying to spread it to all the parks, but there is one overarching group that is trying to build the system so that there is a friend of every park. So that each community is building, and it's not something, maybe look at Everhart Park. I don't have any history here, so I'm listening to what I'm being told from other people, is they kind of started everything and they kind of left it, helped other people at other parks and helped other people in other parks. And now you're starting to get these individual friends of an individual park, because it's kind of like eating an elephant. It's better to get, take a whole bunch of little bites and have everybody keep coming back and biting at it, and eventually the whole elephant's gone. So the idea was there is one overarching group that helps to set up and work with everybody else. And that's what they're trying to continue and to grow and to make sure that every park has their own individual friends of group and then over an umbrella group that will help to organize them to work together. But it's kind of not, it's part of the journey. We're not to the destination, still on the journey to that point. From what it was being explained to me, it's the best way I understood it.
Okay.
But once again, I'll talk with Keith and see if we can get in here.
Yep, that would nice to meet you right there.
I guess my question is fee in lieu of attached to this? Because at no point
No.
was there.
Well, there's a, what we were asked was to, and I think trying to collect and gather all the information, at least Borough Council should, is to have all the information at hand in order to make a determination relative to what kind of dollars, if there's a fee in lieu if you don't provide that rec space, and how that fee is determined and where it's, how and where it's used. There was a specific issue that we've had on a couple projects where the courtyards or these elevated courtyards come into question as whether that should or should not count as rec space. And if one side saying it should be counted as rec space, then there's no fee. If another side saying, well, that's not really rec space, it's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something on the ground, or we're looking for something in the corner, whichever way it might be. A determination needs to be, so we know when we're speaking with developers and they're saying, this is my rec space, that we're saying, is it or isn't it? I mean, so, and that's really, I think, the governing body, has to make that determination. And then it may be that maybe it's allowed, but maybe it's only counts for half of it, or maybe there's a credit towards it or something, or maybe it counts for all of it. I don't know. So it's a tougher question because the way the MPC, the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code is written, it kind of has two areas there that kind of conflict with what we're supposed to be or allowed to be asking for. What gives the borough the teeth to ask for those dollars? And then that comes into, it's not as clear as it could be. And then so it kind of pushes it down to each municipality to make determinations of what they're looking for. And since we're really an advisory to Borough Council, we can certainly have discussions, certainly make recommendations, but really at the end of the day, they're the ones that are making the determination.
Is that why this plan is here? Because you said it was part of the comprehensive plan? I was wondering why it was even here.
It's supposed to be part of the comprehensive plan, an amendment to the comprehensive plan.
So, oh, this has been going on for a while now.
Yeah.
Alan, do you know who requested it? Was it you?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know who requested this to be done?
I don't.
No. It was above our pay rate for that request.
Well, if I may, in order to assess a fee in lieu of open space, the municipality, in this case, the borough, must have one of these plans. It's called a recreational and open space plan. And I think the borough probably has one, but I suspect it's very old. So that was the reason for at least part of this effort. So we would have some rational basis to calculate and charge a fee in lieu of open space. The difficulty with this whole subject is the developer has to agree to pay a fee. So we can't force them to pay a fee. However, most of the developments that of recent vintage, they don't want to provide open space because they don't have any. So it would be encouraged to pay the fee. But the fee has to be reasonable or rational. We can't just say, well, we'll make it $5,000 per resident or something in development. We can't do that. We have to have some rational basis for calculating that fee. And at least from a legal perspective, my hope was that this would give us some rational basis. I haven't read it yet, but from what I might be hearing, I'm not sure it's in there.
Yeah, I mean, there were
It's not
some,
even, was not even a discussion with the people who were here who ran the program.
Understood, and I appreciate knowing that.
and so I think that's what we're looking for, and hopefully next week we get is a presentation by hopefully Keith and a conversation.
Yeah,
And then,
sessions in lieu of fee hasn't increased in years, and I understand that
Right.
a lot of places it goes up,
Sure.
annually.
Fair enough.
I think and once again, this is me coming in a bad position here, not having a lot of history. But from what it was explained to me, the idea was to get the plan so that we can start looking at the things that need to be addressed to do the fee, to make the calculation on the fee and to get the amendments to our saldo, to our zoning, to wherever we need, which all those things would have to come through this commission.
Mhm.
And I don't think this was to be the end all be all. I
No.
think it's something that we needed to have the complete conversation.
And somewhere in here, I did see there is a breakdown that talks about from a tax standpoint or what the costs are, how much or what kind of budget or percentage wise and dollar amount per number of whatever it was 1,000 residents, whatever, relative to where that stacks up to the county, where that stacks up to the state. So I think most important, at least at this point, is this is on the planning commission's packet, can be viewed and reviewed more thoroughly, just to be understood. And then hopefully we have a conversation to be able to ask some of those questions. But I do think it was a very well done, very comprehensive. It looks like they spent a good amount of time asking people, talking to people, and doing their homework. I think all the goals admirable. I think so. I mean, I agree with everything. I mean, from what I saw in 2 hours worth of time. But I do. There are a lot of still open questions because you can say, "Hey, we're only funding the parks at a third of what the state is." Then what? So I mean, you can say, yeah, we need more money. How's that happen? Or where does that come from? So I think it's easy to look at some of those parks, especially that are not as developed as other areas, and say it would be great if we can improve these. But then, who's paying for it? Who's in charge of it? How's it getting done? And how are we making sure it's kind of an equitable allocation across the entire borough? So each one, I do not disagree that some of them are a little more visible. There was one in the northwest that was kind of tucked in behind, I forget the name of the park, but it starts with a V right now. But it's kind of tucked in behind the homes, and you don't even realize it's back there, or most people don't realize it's back there. What's that? No, it's a Vietti or something.
That's the one really ought to be compared.
Yeah,
I think that's the one over there by Penn Street, Mostello's right there.
well, yeah, no, this one's over in the northwest corner. And it's behind, it's actually not far.
You mean the Hickman?
No,
Oh.
this was good because nobody knows it's there. I didn't know. It's, you know where the beer mill is? It's like over another block deeper. It's behind Washington. Let me see if I can find it because I was surprised. And
I think like the spot.
That's Veterans.
like next to L.
That's Veterans Park over that way.
I think I unfortunately did not print them. I only printed a page that. It was part of the end or something. So, and they noted it as one of the problems was people didn't know it was there and how accessible it was from the street. And I thought, fair enough. It's but anyway, I thought they were, let's see what's listed there. I think it's this guy right there. I'll have to take a look at that. Fugit, Marshall, John O. Green, Kathy, Britannia, Bear Rustin, Greenfield, Ostower, Horace Pippin, Get Warmer, Everhart, Oops, all these are pretty well known. Let's see here, Veterans Memorial.
That's one that's off the beat.
Yeah, that's the one, that is the one.
Yeah.
You're right again, Daryl.
No, I said that.
Right again. All three of you are
Mayor
right.
did say
Yeah.
it first.
Yeah, but that's the one that I was like, yeah, I get it. It's tucked in behind homes, all the way around the surrounding. This is the Elks,
Right.
and right near the Elks, and I don't know where that came from. But the Elks is, when we straightened out that property line the other, like 2 or 3 months ago, it was right here in this corner. And then, so it's tucked in behind there. But if you noticed on the observations, it was nobody knows it's there.
Maybe that's
So
what they like.
fair enough. So I think they were trying to add some sort of gateway or something, an entry. But, you know, you have a nice resource like that, and if only the immediate block knows it's there, it does, it is tough. But anyway, the point was, I thought they did a great job with what it was. It's just, hopefully we can see it all, as much of this happen as possible, and whatever we can do to support it. The only one that was really wide open, I think, is the Davis Oil property right now. That's a rough property right now. It's a long way to go. It's not like some of the other ones. I think that was a much worse starting point.
Where two is from, all the chemicals that have been dumped in Ward 2, and
Yeah.
the borough has allowed the property owners to walk away. Davis Oil, Wyatt's property, Sardimer, you name them.
Let me see where that is here. If you get ABCD.
The property owners, Davis Oil has no obligation to.
Well, they don't own it, they've sold it, and they say they're
See it in
doing
the
testing
section.
there. But in the summertime, the weeds grow taller than you and I.
And nobody knows. I mean, it used to be the buildings with the tanks in the center, and then who knows what's in the ground and what has to
And
happen.
they're still testing,
Mhm.
they say they're
And I
testing.
think in this report, it was proposed as maybe a skateboard park. So which would give the opportunity to maybe seal off some of that ground.
Well,
But I'd like to see-
owns it now,
Yeah.
Davis is not owning it.
I definitely would like to see that perimeter treed up and something.
Soil walked away, didn't even pay any of the fines they accrued. The borough let them go. Whole area.
So, well,
The
nowhere to go but up.
previous housing person
BA
let them walk away
before Aaron.
and not pay one fine.
Oh, I guess the PennDOT property, the high school was in West Goshen. That's not it.
Well,
You
yeah,
have Wyatt, you have all,
Oh, yeah.
neighbors and neighbors of Wyatt, and then you have Sardimer and what was the other one? Was it that one? Oh, yeah,
National
National.
Farm.
yeah, here's
They're still
the
there, aren't they?
property right
They're still
here.
there. They're still there.
No, they're not.
That's
Sardimer's-
National Phone.
No, they walked away too.
So that's
What is where else?
my on the right direction. Yeah, so this is the property, but if you go back, you can look at previous, you can see,
No production.
you can see this is what used to occupy this space. So this was the gas pumps, and these were the buildings that were there. So you can step through time until it was today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so we know it was there. It's just not there anymore. And it's the same thing if you look at that relative to what's surrounding it. And there's been a good amount of homes built just to the west of it that are adjacent. They could certainly take advantage of that as a park.
We talk about blue balls.
Oh,
Because you could buy during the 70s oil embargo, if your driver's license ended in an even number, you could buy gas on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and an odd number Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And the kid said, "We've got to buy gas on Sunday." Nobody. It was blue because they were the blue laws.
And I still remember my parents having a 5 years old, was it 5? stand in line to save the spot for the vehicle,
I guess.
for the gas,
And leave a 5-year-old there.
2.5 hours.
That was my, that's what I did with my learning permit, sitting there with my grandfather's Cadillac.
Oh, yeah. Did you go to Davis Oil?
Not there, no.
It's only 26 cents a gallon.
I work cheaper than that, so. All right, so if we can though, in this, next week, just cruise, kind of cruise through there, highlight it. It's a lot. I don't know if, I downloaded it as a PDF, so mark it up on your computer as much as you can. So any questions and stuff, so hopefully we have a conversation and we get some of this stuff.
Do you want me to try to see if he can be here next week?
I
Certainly
think,
clarity on your in lieu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Tom could give us his thoughts on,
I'll take a look
yeah.
Then you need to be here next week. I know
at it. On
you,
my calendar.
I know you're gonna ask me.
Very good.
So
I
let's
don't have to ask you now.
Yes.
get it done now.
But I do think the work that went into it, you can see they spent a lot of time and did a really nice job in this study. Whoever the group was. There's a couple of pictures of people, I don't know.
There's
who they are.
supposed to be experts.
They did a great job. So, okay, well, I think, are there anything else to be discussed today? For next week? Um, well, I can tell you what was only because of the public meetings was. Well, I think they're gonna take it back and they'll be back in front of either Borough Council or Smart Growth in January at this point.
They're scheduled right now to
I
come
meant
back
February. They asked for January. They got.
in
it got
February.
requested to be in February.
They're supposed to be in front of Smart Growth in February.
Right.
So other than that, there's no other update.
Just on, if you watch the Borough Council meetings, you can, you were there probably. Yeah, he's always there.
I sat behind him.
I watch all the, I watch it if I'm not there, so.
I was sitting in the front row.
I need to get some hobbies. Keep me up to date, that's all. Very good, so.
Is there an action point on the Atlas question? Is it, would I just contact the county directly to find it, or?
So maybe Aaron can help us.
It was presented to Borough Council.
Okay.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Please, what you keep saying Atlas.
At the Borough Council meeting in October, there was a ceremony in which the head of the Historical Commission and 2 representatives from the Planning Commission of the county presenting the atlas they've been working on since 2018.
I vaguely remember that. I can contact the
Okay.
gentleman who's in charge of the historic committee.
Question, and we have got a schedule of issues we call the parking lot. They're on hold until we get this. This was supposed to happen for us in 2021. And then it got moved to 2022, and we've been waiting all this time. So just how do we get a copy of the atlas? Is this something that the borough did something with, or?
You know, I'm thinking that it's actually on the county's website, and I went and accessed.
I
it.
looked for it on the county.
Yeah.
I
couldn't
thought that
find
they
it.
had given us a copy of it, but I
Yeah,
will
Because when
reach
you.
out to the gentleman that was there.
Mhm.
He was an older gentleman. He was very nice. I
Yeah.
got stuck in a 20-minute conversation with him. He was a really nice gentleman. So I'll reach out to him and see
Great.
if that's a possibility
Okay.
that we can get that.
Thank you.
I believe it was some sort of a GIS
Yeah, and I think
system.
it was Bernie or somebody asked about the difference between Chesco views and this map. They talked about the 4,000 resources. So now I'm remembering what was they were talking about.
I remember that.
I
situation.
did the next day find it on the county's website
You did.
through the county website. So I just I'll see if I can find that. I don't, as far as I know, we were not delivered anything. There's nothing on our website tying into it, but
Right.
I will say this, that the person that would handle that would have been Nick. And Nick's only recently come back from his wife having his first baby. So there's a lot of stuff he had to catch up on. He may have gotten that and never did anything with it yet.
Okay.
So if he has it, then we'll find out. So I'll follow up on this.
Right.
I didn't realize you were waiting for it or I brought it to you.
Okay, so I will also try to find that link.
Thank you.
Steve, Quinty, anything? Good, very good. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and move to adjourn. Second. All right, we're done. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.